Welcome to RepoParts.com. My name is Sergio Senna, and today me and my dad are going to take you through a digital tool on how to restore a die-cast car from A to Z. Before we get started, I have to say that one of the most important aspects of working with these hobbies is safety. And later in the video, my dad will talk more about it in detail. My dad's going to show you the tools needed for the restoration of a die-cast car.
Some of the tools that we're going to need to do die-cast restoration will be an assortment of files. This is a little bit of a larger file, but it's used to clean up some of the base, or possibly later we'll show you the post on the car. Another file, a few smaller files that would be great. This is a hobby file. It's easy to obtain in any hardware store. So an assortment of flat files. A round rat tail file would be handy. And then there's a triangular file. This one works real good to get into little spots to make angles. Okay, so files are important. Let's go to pliers. Here's a standard cutting pliers that can be used in working with die cast. I have actually ground away the score marks in here so that it doesn't damage your car. Now this particular pliers is a jeweler's pliers, and it comes smooth. So it does have a special type of function. This is a great pliers to use for die cast. And then the small dikes. This is a diagonal cutter. You need some of those. A couple of tiny screwdrivers, we'll use those. And let's see. Here's a file with a little handle. So this is to get into tight spots. Flat center punch. I might use that. A couple other tools that we really like is we use these dental picks. These are very effective in working with die cast. Dental picks. A little brass brush, a center punch, a nail file. And then we have a 1/8 drill on a T that we've hand fashioned on a piece of wood. We can use to ream out certain spots. This works real good. Very important tool would be a unibit. This is sort of like a reamer, and it's used to open up the base of a car after you split it. You can put it in the small hole where the base goes to the body. So this is an important tool. Not too expensive, about $15. And then we have a couple of tweezers. Important to use tweezers. We'll be using those to set the rivets. Later on we'll show you what those rivets are all about. Possibly a few Q-tips when we're working. Once again, you want to think about safety. You'll be using glue, you'll be using files, you want to protect your eyes with goggles. And just a little file, a little nail file, metal nail file, or you could use an emery board to file away the burrs. Okay, for drilling out die cast, we'll be using a Dremel type tool. This tool is used for drilling and polishing. It is electrical, and I would advise that you think about safety, because you can get caught up in this thing and keep away loose clothing. Be careful with the cord, but we will be using a Dremel, and it's a very effective tool. Also, we'll be using a cordless drill. Now this one's 18 volt. Most of the time you want to be able to drill through the soft die cast, and you'll be using small drill bits, but you want something that has enough power to go through that, but something that you can control. So we'll be using a cordless drill. Some of the bits that we're going to use mostly are small. They're small drill bits. My suggestion is that you buy some high quality, these are Dremel bits, or you can buy DeWalt bits. They're great quality. 1/16 you'll need, and you'll need 5/32. They're the two most important sizes, 1/16 and 5/32. And we will show you how to use those. One of the little gimmicks that has helped Sergio and I restore cars is a homemade jig. This is a small little 1x3 piece of wood that Sergio actually decided to draw out the design of the car, and I took a chisel and we kind of chipped away at it, and the car fits in there. So when we decided to drill the rivets, we put the car in upside down like that, and it holds the car. You won't find it in Home Depot, True Value, or Lowe's, but you can make it. It's very inexpensive, 50 cents for a little piece of wood, and you just kind of grind away at it, a little chisel, and it holds your car. And that way when you decide to drill, it doesn't go anywhere. And it's really a safe little jig for a car. We are purposely going to do it improperly. This is the wrong way to split a car, and you will see what will happen. So we'll do one that's the wrong way that a lot of people have done, and then we're going to do it the proper way. So we've taken this Porsche, which is a die-cast Hot Wheel car, and we are now going to drill it. We're using a 1/16 drill bit, and I'm going to drill through. I'm going to drill through the post. That's one post, and here's the front post. Now I'm going to switch drill bits to about a 5/32. Thanks, Serge. And you can see I've got a larger bit. So if you push a little too hard, the drill will begin to slide away and run on you. So you want to do it kind of soft, like that, and then if you get to the point where you can turn up the power. So we're gonna see this. We pretty much drill right through the top of the base. Now, the next thing that's going to happen is you're going to put a screwdriver in there to split it. A lot of times you didn't drill deep enough, and now that one just came out about right, the back one. If you didn't drill deep enough, then you're going to get stuck on the front, and what's going to happen is, like this, you're going to bend it. And that's what I just did. I bent the front of that post. As you can see right here, it's sort of bent and kind of drilled in a crude fashion. So you want to take your time and drill it kind of slow, because when it's done properly, the base is going to go back on, and it's going to snap on just right. Let's see if this how close this one is. One of them snapped on. So I improperly drill this car, and it's not right. So of course, to rectify that, we're going to have a little file. I'm going to clean up the post. Of course, this is a practice car. You can see that I'm going to file the post, clean it up a little bit, and now the base. Now the base went back on. That's pretty close to doing it right. I actually wanted to do it completely improper, but I guess I'm getting too good at it. This one came out pretty close. If you do it improperly, it'll be sloppy. The base will be bent. The post will be bent, and it'll be sort of a nightmare. And as you can see, this isn't really just right. The next one we do, we're going to do it a little more careful, and we're going to get it just right. Okay, we're going to be restoring a 68 Mustang, an American version. American version is made in America. There's also a Hong Kong version which has a little different base, a different body, slightly different hood, and of course a slightly different windshield. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take these wheels off. Now, basically, when you're dealing with an American version, it has set axles, so you should be careful by snapping these wheels off. The right way to take the wheels off is put a small screwdriver in and take your thumb and just pop it off, like that. You won't bend anything too far, and later I'll show you the internal part of the axle. Once again, just pops off just like that. You're not bending anything. The American car, this car right here, you have to be real careful because the axles are permanent. And if you have a damaged axle, it's going to take quite a bit of work to take that axle out and put a new axle in, which we'll talk about later. But you want to be careful when you're taking parts off so that you don't bend the axles. Okay, the next process is to set the car into our little jig that we've created. And we're going to use a 1/16 drill bit, which we've shown you before. And if you're real careful, you don't have to use a pilot hole. What you can do is, the die cast is really soft. And it's so soft that you can set the drill bit on that rivet. Well, I should say the post, and we're going to call it a rivet. As we all know that Mattel didn't make rivets, they actually created posts. So I'm going to push on the post in the middle. And I'm going to try to sort of score it. That's what I'm doing right now, so that I can drill it in the center. Now, I've already made a mark there. Most people, they'll decide to put a drill bit on there, and that drill bit will start to ride and float away, and you'll have a mess. So we want to score it, and that's what I've done. I'm pushing, not too hard, and then slow. You want to get in the center. I'm pretty much in the center. Not too far. I just got it started, and I'm going to switch bits to the 5/32. Now, the 5/32 is going to allow us to create a concave top of that post, so that that base will pop off easily later. So here we go, 5/32. Now you'll see on closer shots, we'll give you some digital photos of how nice and concave and round that is. This one's about done for now. I'm going to do the next one now, which is the same process. We're going to set the we're going to set the 1/16 bit in the front post, and we're going to push down to score it. You can see I'm moving it around a little bit. If you're not center just perfect, you can move the bit around and get it close enough. And that's it. Now, if we can see that, my cameraman can show a close-up, you'll see how nice and even those two pilot holes are. Once again, I'll put the 5/32 in, and I'm going to drill this baby. I've got that drilled down pretty good, and then we're going to try to split the base now. If the base does not split, you'll have to go back and drill it a little bit more. Okay, the base is not splitting, so it needs to go down a little deeper. And you can see the metal shearing off. Okay, now we're pretty close. Let's see. You want to try to get it just right so it snaps off. Yeah, that's about right. I'm going to push it back to see how close I am. Let's listen to it. Usually it'll snap right back on if you're close. Look at the back one. The back one's far more important. When you lift the front of that base off, you can bend the base or the post if it's not drilled deep enough. And this one is starting to bend, so we're going to push it back and try to pry it. If not, we're going to drill a little further. A little further, a little deeper. I'm sort of countersinking the top of that post. Try this other screwdriver. I'm going to try to lift it now a little bit. It's still tight. It's still too tight. It needs to go a little further. Oh, it came right off. There you go. Let's check it again and see. Okay, we pretty much split the base from the body. And what you want to do is try to inspect it now. Make sure you didn't bend that base. By looking at the back of a Mustang rear bumper, and the back of the car, it's got to fit tight the way it was. And you look closely, this one's tight. And you can feel it, it's still just about tight enough to stay on. If you turn it upside down, it doesn't fall off. You did a pretty good job. Okay, that's good. So now I want to take this reaming tool, this unibit, and put it in the base and clean it up just a little bit. The inside, the outside, and that's taking the burrs off. And what's going to happen is that base is going to fit just about perfect now. Should be able to hear it snap. There it is, a little snap. That's just about perfect. If we drilled it too much, it would fall right off. So this is what we want to achieve. We want to achieve that tight fit. Now, before we go further, what we really want to do is we want to set up those posts so that they will accommodate the rivets. Now, the rivets, we're going to be using our American-made rivets by Repo Parts, our company. We have these rivets here that are going to go in, and so we want to drill them with a 1/16 bit. And the reason we're doing it now is we want to set that car up so it's completely drilled. At this point, we won't have to do any more work later as far as drilling. Now you want to try to get that bit centerized. And we'll fit this rivet. Here's the rivet. And that rivet fits. Not deep enough, so we've got to get it a little bit deeper. And I'm going to continue to drill. Much less a cook show, I'm just going to drill a little bit more now, and then we'll complete it. And we'll also have to drill the front rivet post. If you're careful, it'll fit just right. The circumference of that post is just right at 1/16 for this rivet. Occasionally you may have to take a small file, like this one, and you may have to file the rivet slightly. A few seconds, it doesn't take very long. And that rivet will fit very snug. And we will do some more digital photos. And there it is. That's the way it'll fit. It's got to get down deep enough so that it sets on top of the base. Now this one's not deep enough, so we'll have to drill it further, as you can see. As you can see. So we're going to drill it further. We want to complete the drilling, then we can start the stripping and detailing process. Okay, now that the body has been drilled, we'll show you how the rivets fit. That rivet fits all the way in, nice and snug, front, and there is the rear. What we want to do is we want to clean up the post a little bit. So it just takes a little file, clean up the front. Now when you put the base back on to refit it, you want to make sure the interior is in. Make sure everything is the way it should be. And there it is, it's nice and tight. We'll check the rivet. It is the rivet. Now sometimes that rivet doesn't fit and you have to go back with a bigger drill bit, a little bigger than 5/32, maybe an eighth. I'm sorry, maybe let's say a little bit bigger than that. 5/32 would be 11/64, a little bigger bit, and clean up the inside part of that so that that rivet will be countersunk nicely. So we might want to do that real quick. And that's just drilling the base. So I'll take a larger bit, chuck it up in this drill, toward this drill, and we're just going to give it a little tiny touch on the base, like so. Just right there, a little tiny touch on the back. And as you can see, there's a slightly bit of metal we took off. Now this rivet should fit just nicely. And there you go. Fits real nice right there. And we'll show you some closer shots on the digital photos. And this one maybe needs to be cleaned up a little bit more. Once again, the unibit will work. Okay. There's a lot of fine work that's going to go into restoring the base, which will be in the vibratory polisher, and then some fine 1500 paper, and then some polishing. We'll get to that a little bit later. So we're going to refit it for the last time, the base and the body. There it is, snapped nicely, stays on. And we're about ready to inspect the car for fine detailing. Push out the interior. We're going to push out this glass windshield that's been broken, and we'll be replacing it with a new reproduction. And we're going to take a look at this. We're going to take a look at the car itself and see what we can do to enhance the detail of it. And the back of the rear window appears to be marred, so we're going to clean it up a little bit. A little filing. Just taking off some burrs. The front windshield, the cowl is a little bit dinged up. Clean that up. Usually the front of the hood or the rear deck will have little dings and pitted. So we'll try to prepare that. A little bit of filing at this point. As you can see, I just filed it very lightly. Again, we're probably going to use some 1500 fine paper. That's what this is. 1500 fine, and we're going to clean up the front of the hood. A few seconds, it doesn't take a long time, and you can feel it with your finger. It's kind of smooth. There is some dings there, but you know, we're talking about a car that's 37 years old, or I'm sorry, 30 years old. Excuse me, 40 years old, 1968. So we're in 2007, so it's 39 years old. So expect some little imperfections in the car. And when you get it sanded down and polished, you're still going to see some tiny body imperfections, but it's going to add to the uniqueness of this car. Once again, we're going to sand the front of it. On a Mustang, you have the option, once you split a Mustang, of leaving it original, or you could actually modify the hood to become an open scoop hood Mustang, which is extremely valuable, $500 to $1,000 cars. So that's up to you. That's another process. I mean, it's very detailed to hog out the inside of this hood, but we're not going to do that at this point. But you have the potential to do it. It doesn't take long, maybe 20, 30 minutes to do that, and that gets drilled out and filed out with a fine file. So we're inspecting the car. We want to turn it upside down, possibly clean up inside the windows. You can feel it. Being careful not to put undue pressure on these posts because they're very thin and they break. And then once you break the post of the car, it's pretty much curtains on that car. It's a hard job to repair a post. So at this point, this car is in nice condition to go forward to get stripped. And we're going to figure out, you know, exactly how we want to strip this. There's several ways to strip the car, and we're going to go over it. But at this point, it's been cleaned up. Some of the dings on the hood, you can see them really close there. They're there, but it's going to come out real nice. We'll refit the base, and everything's real nice. So there it is. It's ready to go to the next stage, would be stripping and polishing. Speaking about post, the posts on Hot Wheel Redline cars are very thin. Sometimes over the years they corrode, they break, they're crushed, they're stepped on. Here's an example of a car that was completely destroyed. The posts were bent and broken, almost no potential to repair the post. So in essence, what Sergio and I did is we cut the roof off and created a cabriolet look, sort of semi-convertible, as you can see. And then we worked the car hard. I mean, we polished it and we stripped it, and this particular heavy Chevy, we actually fitted a windshield that Repo Parts produced by cutting the windshield in half and then polishing the top of it. There's many, many hours in this car. So this is an extreme example of a rescued Chevy, heavy Chevy. And as you can see, the car is beautiful. We created a new look of a heavy Chevy spoiler car with the numbers on it. And of course the windshield has been put in. And the front of the car was really destroyed. If you look, we highly polished this. And also the engine has been secured with a Repo rivet on the underside. So the engine was riveted in, and new Repo wheels. And as you can see, it's just a beautiful little car for someone's collection. So there is an alternative to broken posts. Don't throw your cars away.
The next step is to strip the car. The paint strip was quite toxic, so please use gloves.
Okay, we're gonna drop this Mustang in this little bottle. Just like that. Put the top back on.
Shake it.
We're gonna shake it like Serge says. We're gonna a little shake and bake on this car. And that's it, because in the next 15-20 minutes, that's how quick this stuff works. We're gonna take it out and we're gonna clean it with water. We're gonna use a toothbrush, and it's gonna come out just right and ready to go into a vibratory polisher. Okay, it's been about 15-20 minutes, and as you can see, I've got the gloves on. I'm going to probe around here, and there's the car. You can see that it's already coming off. It's like 15 minutes. I'll soak it a few times. Now that stuff, you don't want to breathe it. I mean, that's pretty powerful paint stripper.
It's like melting off the...
It's actually melting the paint right off after 15 minutes. Look at that. And you'll see I have the toothbrush. Watch how soft it is. There it is. So I'm going to drop in a little pot of water here. We're going to put our dental pick in there, and I'm going to keep my eyes away from it. Sergio's going to stay a little distance away. I'm going to pick it up, and I'm going to brush it with the toothbrush. And as you can see, it just comes right off. You don't have to be too harsh on it. It just falls right off. And what we're doing is getting the paint off. See, and goodbye old blue paint. Hello, nice crispy original Redline Mustang car. Now, if you look real close, you'll notice it has what we call toning marks inside the metal. Now, they are sometimes a real problem to get out, but we can work on it because some cars will come out just perfect and others won't. The ones that do not come out perfect and have a lot of toning, we're going to paint those probably purple or brown. You won't see the toning, a dark color. But if the car comes out real nice, like a mirror finish chrome after we polish it, then we can do it hot pink, we can do it yellow, gold. It'll really be beautiful. So this is it. This car is ready to go into the vibratory tumbler. A little bit more blue off. And Sergio will get to that in a few minutes, but I'm going to rinse it a little further. You can see that I have the hood open. Be careful not to use water. Be careful not to, spray that or scrape away that paint remover and let it fly all over. Usually I wear some goggles. I've got some glasses on, but there you go, see? And it's pretty much clean now, void of paint. Okay, that's the process of the stripping. Okay, this is a vibratory tumbler. It has many uses. Some people use it for rocks, hobbies, jewelry, gunshot, shells, and of course people have learned to use it for die cast. It has chipped walnut. This is chipped walnut right here. That's what it is, walnut chipped shells. And of course we've put some brasso polish in there. So we're going to drop the car in. Usually we'll put 3 or 4 cars in 3 or 4 bases. And we're going to tighten the top up. And this is good. When it goes on, it's going to make a little noise. It's going to move around. Sergio's going to flip it on in a second. And we're going to leave it for like 2 days. Okay, Serge? Now that's going to rotate that car. It's going to constantly rotate for 48 hours. And of course, when the car comes out, you're going to be amazed to the quality of the body. Okay, the next process is to clean up the base, to prepare it to go into vibratory. You want to clean up some of the old tarnish. You want to take off the black paint. You want to take off the orange rear tail lights, because all that's going to be cleansed. We want to take off the black grill paint. All that's going to go in the next 5 minutes. So I'm going to begin by using a bristle brush. It's not metal, it's bristle, just to clean the dirt. Then I'm going to move to a steel brush, and that could be a little bit dangerous. You definitely need eye protection. So here we go with the Dremel and the bristle brush. As you can hear, there's several speeds. Slow speed, medium speed, high speed. For the bristle brush, to clean off the dirt, we just need a slow speed. Basically, I'm taking off the loose dirt, and when I get to the metal stainless bristle, then it's going to be a little more intense, and we'll take off the paint. Well, that's about it on that process. Now we're going to move with this stainless brush. And when I finish this, then Sergio will begin the polishing process. Now you have to be real careful, because these little stainless steel bristles will fly around. But you can see that the paint is on the grill of this Mustang. It will be gone. Sergio, you need to back up. I mean, that was actual time, about 15 seconds on that grill. The paint's just about gone. You can get a little closer. Now I'm going to work the bottom. As you can see, it's starting to clean up real nice. As we go along, we'll work it right through to the back. And when I get to the back, I will take off the black paint off the rear bumper by the gas cap and the orange highlights of the rear taillights. Now once again, that was about 10 seconds in real time. I'm going to finish the middle of it, and I'll pass it over to Sergio, and he'll begin the polishing process with a different type of wheel and some actual semi-chrome polish.
All that dirt flying off.
You can feel some of the bristles coming off the steel wheel, but that's part of the process of cleaning up die-cast bases. Well, that's the beginning of the complete process of polishing the base. Now, if you look closely at the axles, now remember, 39 years, these axles are slightly bent, so we're going to give you some special detail about how to straighten the axles, and that'll take all of a few seconds. And I'm going to use the real nice jeweler's pliers, and we're going to use the dental pick. And what we're going to do here is, before we hand the base over to Serge, I'm going to push on the inside of this axle. I'm going to hold it down, like so, and I'm going to take this pliers, I'm going to bend it back until it gets straight. And you can look at it, it'll straighten right up, pretty nice. And this one's bent, so I'll have to do the same. All of these little tiny practices have been gained over the years from Sergio and I. For the last 5 years have been restoring many, many cars, and we've perfected a lot of these techniques. I'm sure other professional restorers have their own way to do it, but through trial and error, this is what's worked best for us. Now these axles are very difficult to replace, almost impossible. So you want to be real careful with them. And you can see, if you put the wheel back on, you can actually see it's off camber. It's a little bent, so you can actually put the wheel on, hold the base down, like so, with the dentist pick, and then push up, and that'll bend that axle into a spot where it's just about perfect now. It's on camber, on caster, looks good. You can do the rear wheel also. Now this wheel is broken, so we'll have to have another sample wheel. Put it on. Okay, now this one's a little bent, so once again you can just tweak it with your thumb. And there you go. Looks pretty close. Comes off, we'll try the other side. A lot of these wheels are full of dirt, grime, so this one's a little bent also. So we're going to put the dentist tool in, and again we're going to push it up. There's a little hub in there, it's a bearing hub, the white hub, and you want to make sure it's clean. Well, that's it. We've given it a complete realignment on the axles and the hubs, and now I'm going to pass it over to Sergio, and he's going to do the fine polish. He has excellent eyes, and he's going to get it to be polished up to a degree where we can drop it in the tumbler for another day or two with the body, and then it'll come out just beautiful.
So what you need to polish the base is polishing wheels. You can get these at any hardware store. So I have an old one and a new one. I'm going to start off with the old one. When you start off, you start at slow speed. You don't do it too fast. Just kind of slow and expect that speed. So before you start, you have to get some polish on there. This is just some semi-chrome polish. Take a little paintbrush and just dab some on there. And then you just go on to slow speed. And what you do is just go on there, go over the polish a little bit and get it onto the wheel first.
Now, a little bit of polish will go a long way, so he's going to use this a little dabs just to go quite a distance, and he's going to do the initial polishing now, and then we're going to drop it in the vibratory machine for 2 days. Then at the end, he's going to hand polish with a soft rag, and it'll come absolutely gorgeous, like it's brand new.
So what you have to do after you polish it with the Dremel is you have to wipe it off, because all that black polish is on there. And once you wipe it off, it gets a little shiny on. It's good to wipe it off on the edge of a table, because it gets in all the crevices, in the lentils and stuff. The Mustang body and base has been in the tumbler for about 2 days. Now it's time to do the final polishing.
Okay, Serge, here's the base. You're going to need a toothbrush to extract, I'll get that for you, all the loose walnut media. Here you go, here's your toothbrush. Why don't you explain what we're doing with that toothbrush?
So the toothbrush is for brushing off all the media from the tumbler. It gets stuck in the little crevices in the bases and the engine of the car. Just gets stuck in there and just brush around and get it to fall out.
Okay, good job. Now what we're going to do is Sergio's going to polish the car. There's some little spots here, and he'll run the polish once across, and if the spots aren't coming out, then I will take some 1500 fine paper and I'll sand it gently, and we'll redo it a few times until we get it just about perfect where we don't see any dark tarnished spots or toning spots. So he'll begin with using the semi-chrome polish again. He's going to dab it on, and I'll work the base while he's doing the body.
So you basically just, as I said before, just dab some polish on it. The little tiny polish goes a long way, so I kind of just paint the top of the roof, and that's all I really need of polish. I start at a low speed and just go over the polish a little bit to get it on the brush. Then I go a little bit higher and actually start polishing the top. You go a little bit higher on. As the higher speed that you have safety goggles on. As you can see, I don't really press hard down on the body. I just lightly tap it.
Okay, that looks good. Why don't I take a look at that?
You polish it out till it gets like mirror light so you can see your reflection.
Very good. Okay, let me take a look at the top now, sir. Okay.
Now my dad's going to do the hand polishing.
There is some spots that'll remain, and occasionally we'll take 1500 fine 3M paper. And the way to do this is to gently sand some of the spots to get through the old tarnish. Now remember, all the paint is gone, and we've highly polished this car for 2 days, so it doesn't take much to get it near perfect. Now, depending on what color you're going to paint it, if you're going to paint it a light color, a pink or a light blue, every tiny imperfection will show. If you go to a darker color, dark blue or purple, very little shows, but naturally you can get the car as perfect as you really want it. Some people are very, very interested in having it perfect, mirror-like. This finish will almost emulate a chrome plating when it's completed. And as you can see, this was a clean polishing cloth, and now I'm going to rub the car in that same spot. The polish really is reusable, and you'll see that this car will come up nearly like a mirror. And then the finer spots you can get in. Occasionally you might want to use a Q-tip, but now the car is basically about 99% ready to be painted. There it is. There's the Mustang and the base. I've hand polished the base while Sergio was polishing the car. He's going to do it. He's going to go over it one more time to get a little bit of the spots out around the letters where it says Hot Wheels. So we're going to just put a little tiny bit of polish, and he's going to try to get that soft polishing wheel into where the text is. And then we're about done with the polishing.
To do the base, you need to use it at about a medium speed.
You don't polish each car to your own desire. Occasionally he'll turn up the speed and really get the RPMs up. Okay, now let's put it in there. He can polish it in his own little way, but occasionally what I'll do at the end is my hand is big enough to set the polishing cloth in, and then I will, let me show them, Serge. I will take this base and almost wrap it, and as you can see, there's the polish. I'm going to create another dark spot from all the polish that we're actually taking off. It doesn't take long. I mean, it's pretty effective. The semi-chrome is great polished. There's other polishes you can use that maybe are less money. Noxon, Brasso, it's your choice. And occasionally there's some little black spots, but we'll get in there with a Q-tip and we'll get those off. But the car is about ready to be reassembled so that we can check and make sure everything fits well. So he's going to use the Q-tips. I'm going to get the interior. Oh, I think you could do it. It'll work like that.
So the Q-tip is getting black. All the stuff is coming off.
Okay. Well, let's try to fit that base, Serge. Good job. Great job. And if we have to get in a little closer, we might want to use the dentist pick. You can get every little tiny. Actually, it's just the polish that's accumulated, but if you loosen it up,
Not time a toothbrush will work.
It'll come off. Okay, so now we're ready to check the fit again.
We put the interior and glass back in.
And there we are, we're ready to go. So the car should be cleaned one more time, and then we're going to do the paint. We're going to get to the paint portion of this restoration. Now this is Sergio's holding a airbrush, and we're going to paint this car purple, and we'll go through all the details of the paint process.
How to clean the brush.
Yeah, exactly. Cleaning the airbrush is very important.
If you don't clean it correct, it can ruin the airbrush.
Right, so we'll go through that, the paint process and also the drying process, and we'll go through in the next segment the clear coating of the car. So that's just about the end of the restoration part of the preparation. The next thing will be to do is paint the car and then let it sit for a day or so, let it dry, and then we'll reassemble it and glue the rivets and put a new set of wheels on it, and we'll have a completely restored Mustang. Okay, this is a die-cast car paint platform that we've designed, Sergio and I. As you can see, there's some drywall screws there, and there's some finished nails, and we've actually worked our way into using a small piece of foam that fits on the finishing nail that we've driven through the bottom of the car base holder to paint. And then the car fits right there, like so. And that'll allow us to paint it without the car sitting on the bottom or moving. And also we've used a rotating little base that'll allow us to turn the car as we're spraying it with the airbrush, so we don't have to move, the car moves. So we're giving you all the fine little details that we've developed over the years. Before we go any further, again, we have to talk about safety. So you'll notice Sergio's going to be wearing a respirator, he's going to be wearing a mask, and he'll have headgear protecting his hair. And we have some gloves we're going to put on. And then I'm going to clean this car, the final cleaning, with some lacquer thinner, in case there's any dust or anything on the car. You'll see, I'm just going to take a clean rag. I'm going to take the car and I'm going to hold it from the bottom and clean it, like so.
You don't want to touch it because you can get fingerprints on it.
Right,
That'll show up.
Exactly. Good point, Serge. We don't want to touch it. So what we want to do is get it to hold it and then place it back on the holder, press it down. And there it is. We didn't touch it, so it's ready to go now. The car will freely spin so we can paint. Okay. Serge has got the airbrush ready to go. Now we have to load the airbrush with paint, but before we do that, we want to get all our protective gear on. So he's got his mask on. Here's his gloves. Yeah. He'll use a glove, and I will put the paint in the airbrush. Okay, the paint is behind you, Serge. Get the paint. Okay, this has all been mixed up. It's Spectraflame paint.
And sometimes you have to strain the paint too.
Yes, we strained it. We did.
With this. go dry.
Put the airbrush here. Okay, there's the paint. There's the top of the airbrush. Okay, we're just about ready. We're going to turn this compressor on and then you'll watch and we'll talk about it later. Okay, ready? Wait a minute or two to develop. You might want to test it there. Try to get it to work. Okay, alright. Let's go. From the bottom up. And I'll rotate. Closer, sir, closer. Okay, that's the first stage. And that's the first stage of painting. He's going to wait a couple of minutes and then we're going to give it another coat. And we're going to take it out in the sunlight and take a look and see if we have any spots. But he'll probably give it another coat and take a 5 or 10 minute break and do this several times until he's convinced, he's got great eyes for an 11-year-old, that the car is completely painted in a beautiful way. It already is starting to develop a nice gleam to it. So we'll take a break and then we'll come back and we'll finish the paint job. Okay, the care of your airbrush is really important because the paint will lay inside the airbrush, coagulate, and it will give you a nightmare if you don't clean the thing immediately. So our suggestion is to clean your airbrush as soon as you're finished. Now you'll see I'm going to run thinner through there a few times and I'll run water through there.
See all the leftover purple paint coming out in there.
Hold on, sir. Let's have some water.
Lacquer thinner and water.
Okay, we've already run the thinner through. We want to clean this airbrush now, and just the maintenance of the airbrush is it has to be completely taken apart. As you can see, the paint is pretty good paint. I mean, it doesn't just rub off my finger. So what we want to do is we want to clean the airbrush initially to get the paint out as soon as possible. Then we're going to take this airbrush apart, completely apart. Each airbrush is different but similar. So you can see right now, watch, the paint will come right off. There it is. So you really have to work. Sergio's going to start spraying with cleaner. Easy, Sergio. Okay. And we're going to clean this all up. Wipe it down. It's several pieces. And we're going to soak it. We'll soak it for a few hours. Let me have some cleaner.
Pretty much use just any all-purpose cleaner.
This is orange clean, so we use lots of cleaners. And what we want to do is we want to soak our little parts. Take everything apart carefully. And as you can see, very tiny parts.
Pretty much you need to let everything just soak.
Yeah. Then we'll put it in a little plastic container we have, like
you can put
so.
a little lacquer thinner or any
Cleaner in there. And we'll let it soak for a few hours. All the parts are in there. Okay, Serge. A little bit of that. A little bit of water. And that's, okay, that's great. And that's how we keep our airbrush nice and clean. Once again, I mean, you have to be real careful with these parts so you don't damage the parts.
If you prick the needle on the top of the needle, then it can just mess up the whole brush, so you have to be careful.
Yeah. So there you go.
That's
That's the maintenance of the airbrush. Okay, now we're going to let the car dry that we just painted. Okay, we've given the car about 24 hours to dry, and now we're going to clear coat it to give it a wonderful final sheen. And we'll do that right here just so you can see it. We're just using, we're going to use some Rust-Oleum Painter's Touch Clear Coat. It's very simple.
The clear coat makes it, it protects the car from anything and makes it shiny.
And as you can see now,
Makes the paint look not as
the car has a beautiful purple shine. Great luster. And now we'll let it dry for a day or so. And that's it. And then we'll reassemble this car. Once again, we've kept it away from dust. We've taken the opportunity today to shoot this car right outside. Yesterday it rained. Therefore the ground is slightly wet and there is no dust coming up. You have to be careful about dust. So this was a great day to shoot it. Okay, it's time to reassemble the car in the final stage. We'll inspect the base, and it's just about perfectly polished. Now we're going to put the wheels on.
For the wheel, you use medium-sized bearing wheels and just push them on there.
Start to get the wheel on the bearing. Take the tweezer, put the tweezer between the bearing and the base of the chassis, and then push it on without bending it. Perfect. If they're a little off, you can, it's flexible enough to get it just straight. The front wheels are smaller, and once again we're going to put the tweezer behind the bearing. Then we're going to put the small bearing wheel on, and we're going to squeeze it on.
Push with your thumb.
There it is. And this one. Okay, now that the wheels have been put on the base, we'll check, make sure it rolls nicely. Perfect, rolls very straight. Occasionally you might have to tweak these wheels, a little off caster or camber, to get them to be straight so that the car will roll straight. Okay, Serge, let's fit it now. Now we're going to fit the base to the car. It's been painted, the car, it's been cleared. Has a wonderful look to it. Take a small, soft paper towel, get the fingerprints off. I'm going to keep this little paper towel under it. Now we're not touching it any longer. Alright, these are the rivets. There they are, they're very tiny.
We're using Hong Kong rivets.
So now we're ready to glue the rivets in place. One of the things we want to do is we want to get the glue on the inside of the post. These are the posts, and they've been drilled out. I'll show you that the rivet will fit perfectly. Rivet fits in the front and in the rear. The object is to get the glue on the post, put the base to the car, and then put a little dab of glue on the top of that base on the outside, and then drop the rivet on and hold it on for a few seconds, and then put it down and not touch it. So that's what we're going to do.
Don't touch it for about 10 minutes. 10 or 20 minutes just so it dry.
You can see I'm putting the glue right on the post. And this is permanent. It will stay on. As we fitted the base once before, it fits perfect. Now I'm going to put a tiny bit of glue on the exterior part of this base, which will allow the rivet to seal. Here's a tiny tweezer Sergio's given me. The front one's on. Sometimes you might have to move it around. Once you get it in there, it's not going anywhere. Now it's in. I'm going to squeeze it. Well, it came out because it's not dry, and it will be a challenge. We're going to put it back in. Still going to put a little more glue on this one. Okay. Now it's in there. Initially, the outside of it will dry pretty quick. It'll take overnight for the internal part of that glue to dry. You want to inspect the car to make sure it's tight. It's in the right spot. And that's it. One of the things we don't want to do, we do not want to turn the car right side up until tomorrow, because this glue has vapor, and the vapor will land on the glass, the windshield, and cloud it. So we want to leave it upside down overnight. Tomorrow morning we'll turn it over and it'll be just fine, and the vapor will be dry and it won't cloud the glass. This completes the complete restoration process. And by tomorrow we'll set it up, take a look at it, and admire our work. Some of the parts that Repo Parts produces. We produce the great Sky Show ramp, which is nearly identical to the original, and it is made of plastic. All our parts are made of plastic. They're made in China, and they're made from steel molds. They are not resin. They are 100% plastic, just as the originals were. This is a sugar caddy glass. It's beautiful. It fits perfect. We make rear loader glasses, Mustang windshields, 442 glass. We make Camaro glass, Boss Hoss glass, many different glass for various red lines. We produce the axles, the straight axles for capped wheels. No one else in the country produces those. And we have exotic wings, the swinging wing that actually moves, just as the original did 38 years ago. So we make those in various colors. We have the Chaparral spoiler wings, 442 wings, Maverick, Mighty Maverick wing. Interiors we're making now. So every month we'll be making new parts. We've been producing parts for about 4 years and have lots of customers. We've never had a part returned. 100% satisfaction on the parts, and they're reasonably priced, and we get them right out to you. So check www.repoparts.com.